Well, we finished Daredevil Born Again. I guess we can call it season one. Um, the question that needs to be asked is, should this show exist? I think that's my biggest question coming out of this, because I think the question you always have to ask when you are bringing back a previous show to renewal for, like, a not necessarily a reboot, but a comeback. It's been done a bazillion times before this, but you have to justify your reason for bringing it back. So I think in this case the question is, did this show justify its existence? And I think we'll definitely get into that more as we go. But first, we've obviously got to tackle episodes 8 and 9, and then we'll get into our full season breakdown and kind of our ranking, or our rating from 1 to 10, kind of where we feel like we would put it. But before we jump in, please like, subscribe, comment, give us a like. Just share this if you enjoy it, and we'd really appreciate the support. But yeah, let's jump right in. I guess we'll jump into episode 8. Just, I guess, a little bit of a recap for where we left off as 7, was sort of the conflict with Daredevil and Muse and Heather in her, I guess her, not her apartment, but where, I guess, her work studio. And so obviously we had the attack. Daredevil intervenes just before she's about to be murdered by Muse, and then she eventually gets a hold of Muse's gun and kills him. And they sort of frame it all that it was Fisk's task force that was the ones who ended up saving her, and not Daredevil, to sort of discredit him, or whatever you want to call it. So as we get into episode 8, we're coming off the back of that, and so we're sort of jumping into the repercussions of those events. And so we start off immediately with, like, sort of Matt and Heather talking through some things to do with that, and that leads to my least favorite scene probably of the episode. So, but anyway, that's where we're at with episode 8. This one was, I think, a bit more coherent, maybe, on the story aspect. It seemed like it was moving towards something. Now, was there any build up to it? No. I mean, it came out of nowhere, but yeah, so in this one, we kind of get the Bullseye just decides after 7 episodes that he wants to make an appearance, or the writers decide they want him to. So we get Bullseye back in this episode.
Yeah.
He's all of a sudden part of the plot, even though he hasn't been for the entire season. So yeah, there's just a lot. It just seems kind of an odd episode. And I'd really be interested to see where you guys are at. And just to preface that, these are spoiler reviews, so we will be discussing anything and everything to do with that. So just be warned ahead of time. But yeah, what did you guys think of episode 8?
I mean, first of all, are there really spoilers with this series? Like, truthfully, like
probably not.
Like, I said before we started recording, I'd watched 8 last week when it first came out, and then I watched 9, I think, today. And after watching it last week, like today when I was going to watch 9, I was like, man, I really need to watch the episode 8 again, because I felt like I missed something. Like, truthfully, like going into 8, like it just went from, the fight scene, she wakes up in the hospital, they're having a conversation, which, again, we talked about it last episode, where, like, the conversation didn't really make sense relative to the information that Matt was given, right? Being a public citizen relative to the information that, Daredevil knows, right? Like that there was a major plot hole there. And then it just jumps into this conversation, and it jumps into, it doesn't it like just flip to the Kingpin and Vanessa just going into their, like, his little, like, dungeon thing, like, after that, or is that episode 9? Might be
no, it's 8 where she goes down with the boyfriend, or the lover guy that's down there in the basement. Yeah, that's
and I was like,
weird.
it was really weird. And then they just kill him. And I think I texted you this, Johnny. I was like, we all knew that Vanessa was bad, like to an extent, like she had like a bad streak in her, but like from her to go from the beginning of the beginning of the series or the season where they're going through, couples counseling. She wants him to not be Kingpin. She wants him to get rid of all of this violence and stuff to get to the point where throughout the series, now she's able to kill someone. It doesn't.
There's no payoff, like there's no build up, so the payoff's
No.
just kind of like what, you're kind of like, oh, okay, that happened.
Yeah, I had to rewatch it because I was like, did she really just do that? Because, and there was no like explanation for it either. Like it was just like, oh, they're in the basement. Oh, she kills someone, and I'm like, okay.
They try to make it like this whole thing where, oh, she's putting the past behind her literally by killing it, like Kylo Ren, kill the past, forget the past, kill it if you have to, and so yeah, I think they try to make it this big. Yeah. It's, it gave you PTSD from The Last Jedi. So
yeah.
Sorry for that. But I want to go back to that first scene briefly because this is something I texted Drew about like right after I saw episode 8. But I was like, so wait a minute. I literally laughed out loud during this exchange with Matt and Heather in the apartment at the beginning of episode 8. I laughed out loud watching the episode because they have this exchange. They're talking about what happened, and she's sort of like complaining that, Daredevil and Muse are like two children just like playing at a game, like playing dress up and playing at a game. And then Matt says something along the lines of, but it was Daredevil who saved you. And then she goes, no, I saved me. And I was like,
that was the most unintentionally meant to be serious, hilarious moment of the series. Like,
because I thought back on it, I was like,
she's a psychiatrist or whatever, but she really can't even see, like, she can't even acknowledge the truth. Like, I don't.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, I think they try to play that off as being this dramatic, like, oh, I saved the day, or I got myself out of it. But like literally, if Daredevil doesn't bust through the window, she's about to die. Like she's stuck in the chair. He's got the cloth laid out. It's like, no, she's toast. And he busts through the window right before he kills her. And so it's like, no, you there's nothing true about what you just said. Like zero true about what you just said. And
it's like Daredevil handled the situation by the time she got the gun out, right? Like he wasn't like he wasn't in danger of no.
He wasn't in danger of dying by Muse. No, he was winning the fight. So yeah. No, I found that hysterically funny because it was like.
Did I miss the part where they had the conversation about? Maybe I missed it. Did they have a conversation about how Daredevil was there? Was that in the conversation that they were having?
I think that was in the episode. Well,
no,
we're talking about the episode. Daredevil being at the apartment.
Yes, did her and Matt have the conversation about that?
Well, that was part of this conversation where they were talking.
Yeah, I might have missed that part.
Yeah,
because I was like, yet again, there might be another plot hole there, right? Where he goes, Daredevil saved you, and it's like, well, how do you know Daredevil? But I guess
because she makes the argument that like him and Muse are just like children basically playing at a game, and like she's like being completely against vigilantes, and that's going to play into episode 9 when at the end of episode 9 where she which I can't stand her character anyway. She's like a block of wood, and she has no chemistry with Charlie Cox at all. It's just that whole scene. I was just like, bleh. Like it's just, oh boy.
And we can talk about this later, but the whole vigilante thing isn't this plot line the one where Daredevil teams up with Spider-Man and they clear out.
Technically, it is part of MCU.
So in the comics, I don't know who all's involved. It's not really. It is and it isn't Born Again because, like we've talked about before, season 3 of Daredevil was basically the Born Again storyline, more or less. And so this is kind of like borrowing from some other things. I guess the only part you could say is I think there may be a section in Born Again where he actually does stop being Daredevil, whereas in like season 3, he never really quits. Like as soon as he's recovered in season 3, he starts, he's wearing the suit. Now he gets rid of the Daredevil suit, but he's still Daredevil. So, but yeah, I don't know.
I could
It's
be
one of
wrong
the
about that, but
in maybe so. I like I said, we're not big comic book buffs. We don't read them all, so I don't. I've tried to read some of it, but I haven't gotten around to all of it. But yeah, I think what's super frustrating to me, and this has been a theme throughout the entire season, and I actually am going to touch on this some. And I guess I could go ahead and mention it here. I was doing some research because me and Drew were talking about it this morning, about how, he asked me the question, do we know when they decided to go from 18 episodes to a 9-episode season and then like do another, like split them into 2 seasons basically? And so I was doing some digging on that, and it led me to gathering some more information as well. But I think basically, you remember back when it was announced, they originally said, it's going to be 18 episodes. You're going to have these specific writers that come in and do it. And the guys that wrote it, I'm going to pull this article up because I want to get the names right. But basically they hired 2 writers. Those guys were able to do up to 6, they filmed through 6 episodes, and then the writers and actors strike happened, which I guess this was 2022-ish, 2023. So they took the writers strike as an opportunity to evaluate what they had so far and whether it was sufficient, like whether it was good enough. And basically what happened was Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio came to, I don't know if it was Kevin Feige or whoever it is at the top, and said, hey, we're not satisfied with the product that we've got so far. We need to do better than this. The rumor is that it was going to be more of a courtroom procedural. It was going to be more like each episode was going to be like a different case. So it's going to be a lot more slower paced, less action oriented. I guess more along the lines of kind of how parts of She-Hulk were, maybe, which is hilarious to me that they'd even consider that. But yeah, so it sounds like from gathering that information that, so basically they fired those 2 writers. They bring in, and I'll butcher the guy's name probably, Dario Scardapane, I think is probably the best I can do with that name. But so he basically makes the claim, and this is back in March. They were asked specifically about the reshoots because they went in and reshot a bunch of stuff. They decided to cut the season down. I think at this time was when they decided to cut it down from 18 to 9. But I'm going to share this article. We can kind of peruse through it a little bit because I think it's interesting to take a look at. But can you see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, he makes the point here, and this is by Screen Rant. And originally, this was a Collider interview, so maybe I could find the original Collider interview. But basically, they were asked about these, and originally, I thought that they completely scrapped the first 6 episodes and started over. But he's claiming that they kept the 6 and that they basically added 3 more while reworking things in those 6 episodes. So the exact quote here is, the thing is, and I think Sana, who's the executive producer, Sana Amanat, can speak to this. They had that time during the strike to take a look at what they had, and those 6 episodes were super solid. I saw them way later. They were super solid, but the issue was bringing up the themes and feelings that we love from the old show in context. I'll say that over and over again. That first episode was the one that takes us into the run, and we needed to have those first 15 minutes of that first episode to set the stage. What we ended up doing was the amount of additional material was essentially 3 episodes worth, and then quite a bit of interstitial material inside of the body of the middle 6. I feel like it was mostly enhancement. It was really bringing up the stuff that we loved a little more, Fisk and Matt, a little more action, pathos. The show was there. It wanted to be something. We just had to do some things to draw that out. So what I gather, and based on just reading some other information as well on other sites, to me, most people seem to agree that the middle 6, so 2 through 7, are those original 6 episodes that that they had filmed before the writers and actors strike, and then episode 1 and 8 and 9 were the extra ones. And I think if you watch the show, you can tell that for the most part.
Yeah.
Because 8 and 9 feel a lot more interconnected than and feel very, very, very disconnected. Like they feel really connected to the first 15 minutes of episode 1 and really disconnected from the middle 6. And so to me, this when I read that today, I was like, that makes so much sense. And also it was a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Because it makes the entire arc of the show so convoluted, like so muddled and confusing, and it feels like 2 different shows and 2 different storylines, and even the storylines that we get don't make a lot of sense. And so I thought that might be interesting information to discuss, but I think it shines a light kind of on the situation. But I thought it was hilarious that the guy they brought in was saying this was really solid stuff when like Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio were saying this is not good, basically. And so, and after watching it, I can agree with them and say no, it's not good. So, I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on just seeing that information?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I don't know. Wow. I don't know why you add episodes in that late. You're just asking for issues with continuity and pace of story and anything like that when you do something like that. So I would hate to see what it was before they added it.
That's what I said. I was like, if we were to just get what they were gonna do, the ratings would be in the toilet. I mean, the viewing ratings are already in the toilet, but like the actual critical reception, like I was just looking at it on Screen Rant's website, it had a 9 out of 10 stars, and I was like, "What are y'all watching? Y'all watching a different show than I am."
Pretty good reviews, but
it baffles me. I don't know why.
I think that's just the nature of where Disney is, right? Or where Marvel is, where you get a bad product, but it's a good bad product, I mean, I will say,
no.
it is. It's a good bad product. I mean,
I don't know what that means.
Better than She-Hulk.
That's my point. Better than Agatha all along, right?
That's not a compliment, though. That's
what I'm saying. That's why people have been so accustomed over the last 2 to 3 years to seeing the level of quality that they're putting out as far as their shows are concerned. So then when you get something that's semi good, everyone's going to freak out and say, "Oh, this is the best show of all time," right?
But see,
maybe they're not saying that, but
I think I would rather watch WandaVision and Loki season 1 over this. Like I think they're better. I think they're more coherent than this is.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
they probably didn't add 3 episodes mid-season.
They
I
probably
will
didn't
say
change writers either. So
I will say there is a drastic difference in the style of the last 3 episodes compared to the previous 6. And if you include the first 15 minutes of the first episode, right? Like you look at the darkness of the show, right? You look at the fighting style of the show. You look at, maybe even some of the gore, especially in episode 9. Episode 9, like the
Jeez.
gore was insane. I think personally it
did
was a
that
little
one
overkill.
did that one scene to y'all with the police guy not seem like so out of character for the show? Like, not that they
Well,
had, and I think the problem is like they said it was going to be more like brutal, but there's barely any action in it. Like, there's just like you can count all the action sequences on one hand, so it's like, you know, and even those are they like have the splashes of blood that are like super over the top splashes of
Yeah.
blood, like all the sequences that look fake,
Yeah.
and then you get this one where it's just like the closest thing we've got to it so far was when Matt like breaks the dude's leg, the bank
Yeah.
robber. That's probably the most brutal, and then like the guy's arm in the apartment in like episode
yeah.
2. But like this one was like I think they were trying to get the same visceral reaction of Fisk in season 1 where he like beats the guy's head in with the car door, but it's like
Well,
that's
I mean, that's fine, but the CGI just killed
I
it
was
for
gonna say
me.
it looked fake.
yeah.
It was
It did.
fake.
Well,
I mean,
but like
geez.
that's not the. But like it did. Like the blood didn't even look real,
Right.
Yeah, it was bad. I thought it was
and
bad.
and it also didn't. I mean, like I understand the concept of what they were trying to do, but it didn't make sense.
Right.
In the context of the show.
Well, and
Yeah.
also like my thing is they don't really this is something that if I've said in every review, they don't give you any kind of indication that Fisk has been, because like to preface this, season 3 is a great example. The entire as the plot progresses and Fisk is maneuvering his way out of prison and he's getting into a situation where he's gaining power. You see as the show goes on how more and more people have been blackmailed basically into working for him because their family's been threatened, their financial situation's in a bad spot, whatever it is. In this one, it's like at the very end, he kills this guy in front of all of these people. And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, all one of them has to do is go tell somebody and he's going to jail. And he's in front of like 20 people that are like serious figures. And it's like, they don't, because they haven't built up that he's got dirt on those people or something. It's like, wouldn't that be kind of dumb to just kill that guy in front of all those people? Because then you have all these witnesses. Like, I don't know. It just, to me, it was like they don't explain why. And like the lady that's like his campaign, she's head of his campaign or whatever, and she's this. She just like she doesn't like him the entire show, and then all of a sudden she gives up the commissioner at the end without any lead up to why she does that, and all you can think of is that she's got this sort of scared face at one point, like she's scared of him, yet she never shows that at all the rest of the season, and so it's just like there's no. They expect you to assume all of these things, and they don't explain. They don't get you to that point. So that's why I'm just like,
that's kind of my take on episode 8. Like, yeah, it was better than 7. It had a better pace and felt better overall. But it just felt like the plot was just pushed forward by convenient plot devices rather than like an organic story. Like I mean, that's kind of basically what we're all saying. Like, I mean, just another example. Suddenly, all of a sudden, Matt turns into this master detective. Like, remember stuff from a year and a half ago, like perfect clarity, like, and somehow connects them all like perfectly, just so they can move the plot along. Like, that's not That's not
You want to
smart
know
writing.
you want to know the character that has the best character development throughout this entire season? His communications director. I'm not joking.
Daniel.
And
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Because they built that up over the course of what, like 5 episodes,
right.
where like he does something wrong, Fisk, like he basically pledges allegiance to Fisk, and then
He's loyal, yeah.
and like throughout all of it, like he's getting more and more loyal to the point where like he's becoming like Fisk. Like I was like, this character is probably one of the most interesting characters that they've introduced, because like it, like
And he's not really a good character, but
no,
he's just like he has more nuance than some of the other
yeah.
ones do. Yeah.
I mean, like
'Cause-
compare him to Heather, right?
Yeah.
Like compare their character development, and they're
Tell
basically at
me
this same point now.
tell me something about Heather as a character. Like
She's a psychiatrist.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
That's
it.
I think here's my theory about Daniel. I think he's actually Richard Fisk. In the comics. Kingpin had a son named Richard. But that, I mean, just in thinking out loud, I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio's almost 70 probably.
Yeah.
He's in his 60s, I think. Yeah.
So, that would allow, having a protege like that would allow Marvel to kind of continue the Kingpin story.
I just don't think he has the screen presence to do that. But I mean, I don't. Here's my thing too, and I guess we'll just kind of loop 8 and 9 together since they're not really. But so they bring back in episode 8. They decide to bring Bullseye, the whole plot arc.
That's a plot device
from the first 15 minutes of episode 1. And I am very, very confused about that reveal, because they try to pay it off at the end of episode 9, where they're saying, well, Foggy, the reason they took Foggy out is because he knew something and he was going to win this case that was going to get something to do with the port and everything. And then they make the reveal in episode 9 that he actually wasn't going to do anything. He was actually going to like drop the case, or he was going to do something where he wasn't going to pursue it.
He was gonna file a motion for it to be dropped.
But I can't figure out for the life of me why. Because they try to make it out to where it's like he dropped it because the port was in like international, like sovereign territory, and it had they had no jurisdiction. But I'm like, but wouldn't that just be him conceding to Fisk and like giving up? So why is it such a?
Well, that's the whole point. Is it's not that anything he was doing was directly affected in the Fisk. It's that if he did that, it would basically come to light again that, hey, Red Hook's not basically under any jurisdiction. So that's what Vanette would. I think she says it to somebody. It's like something he was doing would shed unnecessary or unwanted
Attention
light on what on the business. So they're just using Red Hook to. I mean,
okay, yeah. So that makes more sense, because I do remember her saying that now that you mention it.
It's not that he was going after the Fisk. It's that something happened there. I think it was a robbery. I think is what it said out loud.
Yeah,
that happened there. Basically, he was just going to get it dropped because he found this charter or whatever that expired at whatever point.
Right.
And he was basically going to bring it back to life.
I guess it's just all very vague. It's like hard to keep up with. And the whole Bullseye. Bullseye is literally like, they should just rename him Plot Device, because
yes. Well, like, okay.
The only time he ever shows up is to move certain events in motion. It's literally, and then he's just gone. Like he comes and shoots at Fisk, and then he's just gone until the very end of the season.
Like you said, Plot Device. He calls Matt, moves Matt forward, Matt beats him, slams his head on the table, conveniently breaks a tooth. Then he uses said tooth to shoot somebody in the eyeball with the tooth to escape prison. Really? Like, then what? I don't know. And then I think, like you were talking about, when he's aiming at Fisk, he's using a scope, which I guess in real life a dead shot would use a scope, but the guy's literally bullseye. So, but he's known for never missing anything, and yet here he is taking his sweet time, like deciding.
Well,
who he wants to shoot.
he's deciding whether he wants to take out Vanessa or Fisk, because she sort of stabbed him in the back, because when she hired him, she said she was going to get him out, and then he went right back in prison, and then he hates Fisk because of what happened in season 3, and so I get that part. That doesn't bother me because he's trying to decide.
I just can't get what episode just gnaws at me from episode 8 too. Is Matt is blind. How's he stepping in front of anything, in front of anybody? Like, he's just like it just feels, that just made it feel like he was desperate to be pointed out as Daredevil. Like, dude is blind. Like, I know he's not actually, like the actor's not, but like,
Yeah.
But he's allegedly,
Right.
blind.
So like, they're like, oh, well, he stepped in front of Mayor Fisk. Like, if I read that in the news, I'd be like, the dude's like, he's blind. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't like that part either. This just seemed convenient. Convenient way for Daredevil to be hurt in the last episode, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing's been a mess from the get-go. And, I don't personally, I think the mistakes start where you fire, and this is like right out of the Kathleen Kennedy book at this point. You have people who've done a good. No, like, trust me, like, it's what I'm about to say is going to make a lot of sense. Like, I'm being a little facetious, but I'm also being a lot serious. But like, they hire these guys, they do 6 episodes, they don't like them, they fire them, they hire someone else instead of to do their own thing to basically finish it. And with Kathleen Kennedy, I mean, you look at Rogue One, you look at Solo. Those were both projects that were pretty far along, and both times they fired the original director and brought somebody else in. In the case of Tony Gilroy with Rogue One, obviously it worked out really well because he basically redid the entire movie. And then with Solo, I don't think quite as much went into that with Ron Howard, but still, the point being made, it's like that never seems to work out. I mean, Rogue One's probably the exception to that rule because they actually got a better guy in to replace Gareth Edwards. But in this case, it's like the guy they brought in is praising the stuff they've done when the actors have said it's not good. And then he's just keeping it and then adding to it. It's like, you're just making it less bad. You're not making it better in the sense of something quality. There is part of me that wonders, with him allowed to have an entire season 2 to himself, if it could be decent. But then I watch the episodes that he's responsible for, and I'm like, they're still not good. Like, they're not. I mean, just from a filmography standpoint, they're not good. So, like, a cinematography standpoint, they're not good. An acting and directing standpoint, they're not good. A story writing standpoint, they're not good. So, yeah, I'm firmly on the side, and I think this is a question I wanted to ask y'all. Are you guys the type that, as long as you're getting more MCU or more Star Wars or whatever your beloved franchises are, you'd rather have more new stuff than none? Or are you the type where it's like, I'd rather it be good or not exist at all. I'd be really curious to hear kind of your takes on that.
Well,
I mean, I think it's a mixture of both, right? Like, I think there are some TV series, like if you look at Stranger Things, for example, or even I really like this series on Netflix, right? Where they have taken so long to make seasons, I've become disinterested in the franchise altogether, right? Like Stranger Things has been like 2 or 3 years since they
Right.
released a new season. It's then and I think they're releasing the new one like sometime
It's
this summer,
this year,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, but like I don't even remember what happened in the last season of Stranger Things. Like, and so would I have preferred them to come out with a season sooner? Yes, but at the same time, I don't want what happens with TV shows, and I think what was it, Agents of Shield, kind of fell into this trap where they just started releasing. They started releasing seasons just to release seasons to keep the series going on, and it kind of
Yeah.
lost what they
Oh, my
were
Lord.
doing. To the point where,
Yeah.
like, you look at the final couple of seasons of Agents of Shield, it's nothing like the first, like what it was supposed to be about, right? And so I think that there's a nice balance of releasing episodes to keep your audience interested in what you're doing, and then also having the same quality. And I know as costs go up with everything that's happened in the world since COVID, like it's hard to do that. And there's a lot of like writer strikes, and I get that, but like I almost would have preferred them to have released this next year and really hammered out this season, because it almost makes me disinterested in wanting to watch the next part of this season because of how bad this was, truthfully.
Well, and that's kind of like I'm firmly in the camp with this right now. Like I have zero interest in the season 2, like none, because it's going to be the same people doing it, and I've seen enough, like personally. And so I'm on the side of I would rather only the 3 Netflix seasons exist, and this one just fade from existence. Like literally, it could just be forgotten. Like that it never was even here in the first place. Because to me, if you're gonna bring something back that's that beloved, you can use this example with Star Wars, you can use it with this, with many other things. It's like if you're gonna bring it back and desecrate it or just do something really bad, it's like just don't do it. That's where I'm at. It's like I would have rather the sequel trilogy never existed with Star Wars, even if it meant I didn't get Rogue One or Andor or any of those. I think I'd rather just keep the first 6 when Clone Wars, and I'd be content, because I'd rather it just be good than not exist, and be good or just not exist at all. And I think that's like the same thing with like a Rings of Power. I'd rather just have
Oh, my Lord.
that show doesn't need to exist.
No, I think I'm somewhere close to you, Johnny. To me, yes, I want content. Like, I'm not saying I don't. Yes, I want it to be good. Of course, perfect world, but I mean, as long as it's not a blatant money grab, like this is to me, this has been a blatant, like, you're just playing on nostalgia and the last 3 seasons that you paid a bunch of money for. I get it. But now you're just money grabbing. Like, as long as it's not a money grab, give me the content. Like, if we're making, like, I understand, it's a business. We got to make money, blah, blah, blah. But give me the people, writers, and the people that want the content for the content's sake, not to make the money. You know what I mean?
Well, and also too, it's like what's frustrating with Disney, especially, and this goes for Marvel and with any of their other stuff like Star Wars. It's like they want the money and the acclaim from all of their projects, but they keep hiring people that are incompetent. It's like you're hiring the writers of She-Hulk and the writers of the Acolyte, and
I
it's like
think you're.
all
I
these
think
things where it's
you're.
like the issue starts when it starts at the top, obviously, but it's like if
Yeah.
you want it to be something that's going to bring people in, you got to hire competent people, and they keep bringing these people in that have no business doing any of this stuff.
I get so they're trying to get. I guess they're trying to get up and coming writers, but that's what I mean though. Like those writers have no interest in furthering Star Wars or furthering Marvel, Daredevil, or the specific characters or anything. They're worried about their next thing. Like, okay, if I do good on this builds up my resume to do blah. Like they're not, you know what I mean? Like that's what I
Right.
mean by give me the ones like Tony Gilroy that are saying Andor season 2 is his most important work. Like give me those, like more of those. You know what I mean? I don't. It's a money grab when you're going to spend less money on somebody you know is not going to do a good job to do the job just so you can make more money.
But see,
That's when
Marvel's
it's a
been
money
doing
grab.
that. I mean, think about it. The last competent director that a Marvel thing has had was like a James Gunn on a Guardians Volume 3 or a John Watts on Spider-Man No Way Home, and then obviously like the Russo brothers with the last two Avengers movies. It's like since those guys have exited stage right, now obviously the Russos are back, but
They had to be.
you've even managed to screw up movies like Multiverse of Madness that had a great director, but obviously had a ton of studio interference because you don't get to see Sam Raimi actually shine in that as a director in that. You get scenes here and there that feel very
That was
Sam
not a
Raimi,
Sam Raimi. That was not a
but
Sam Raimi movie.
but it feels like a movie that was completely butchered to pieces that he really didn't have a big hand in. But then you get guys like the director of Brave New World. It's like never heard of him before. You know,
Yeah.
guys like the woman they got to do the Marvels was pretty. A lot of these people like worked on documentaries and stuff.
Well,
Things that
I'm not saying activist or whatever, blah blah blah. I'm not. But like when you're more worried about the message you're trying to portray in the movie rather than just writing the story and let it be what it is. Again, that just makes it seem like a money grab to me.
So I guess what we'll do just to kind of wrap things up, because I think the only kind of dumb thing we could talk about is the ending to this season, which is like the most anticlimactic ending I've seen in just about anything.
Oh my Lord.
It's been lauded as a great ending, by the way. I was looking at some reviews, and they were like, "Oh, it was so good. It wrapped the season up perfectly." I was like,
perfect setup for season 2.
And I'm like, it didn't do anything.
Where we at when we started that episode?
Yeah. Where we at when we started the season just without Foggy?
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, all they're trying to do is basically say, "Oh, now Kingpin's Mayor Kingpin instead of Mayor Fisk," and it's like, yeah, well, he didn't really lead into that much, other than because like the whole season he's talking about how he doesn't want to be Kingpin, and then
in the last 2 episodes he's like, "Oh, I'm Kingpin now. I'm gonna go do everything." Like, okay.
And here's my thing about the whole last episode: how in the world? No, well, 2 things. How can we go to martial law, like random cops running around killing in the streets, turn the power off in the whole freaking city? You got a rogue army running around taking over a port, and there's no sign of Punisher and Daredevil are the only ones around, really? Like we should be way past this in the MCU. Like Spider-Man, somebody's hanging around somewhere. Like, come on.
Well, and one thing that did bother me when they were, instituting martial law and he was doing his press conference at the end, right? Like, oh, the lights went out, law went rampant. And his explanation for the commissioner was, oh, he resigned.
Yeah, he resigned. What?
I was like, so what happens when his family comes and says that he died? Like, it was an easy thing to just say, oh, in all of this, the commissioner died, but our task force took care of the threat and it's over. Right? That's all they had to say. And instead they go, he resigned when he clearly got his head smashed in. That did not make sense to me. And I literally rewound it because I was like, it's an easy cop out. I don't know.
I'm going to say this. All the crap that happened through 3 seasons of Daredevil, not once did the mayor go like, martial law, and like one vigilante takes a pot shot at Fisk and he's like, martial law.
And everyone's like, okay.
I'm like, the Punisher like ripped through New York City in season 2, killing a bunch of people. They didn't bother.
I thought we were on the right track in my mind a little bit when the police commissioner was like, I'm going to the governor like tomorrow. Like, okay, yeah, like that would happen. But you mean to tell me nobody? That's New York City. Like somebody's coming into like the president's calling the National Guard. Like it's not its own. Like they basically made the world like this small. Like you're supposed to have the whole MCU, everybody. Like where I wonder. A question that I thought was, I wonder if this was taking place, like, well, they don't say obviously, but I wondered if this was taking place like after Captain America: Brave New World, where they're kind of maybe still reeling from, the president being Red Hulk or whatever. But like, I don't know. It just don't like a mayor locking down a city would not happen.
The biggest city in the world.
Biggest city in the world would not happen without something else happening.
Right.
Like the governor.
It's not a big enough event to warrant that, And
they would bring like National Guard in.
Yeah.
To lock down a city. Like they wouldn't do martial law without enacting like at least the National Guard
state,
that's active.
The state National Guard. I don't know how to say that, but also
I don't understand his task force. It doesn't make sense to me. Like truthfully.
So they try to hint at this throughout the season, where it's like these guys are like, they like the Punisher because instead of having to arrest people, they can just take them out and everything. But it's like they kind of just reference that these guys exist, but you don't actually see who they are until the very last part of the end of season 1, and it's like, Punisher's going to say no to these guys because it's the Punisher's whole thing. And this is an interesting fact I learned doing some digging, is that John Bernthal told them that the only way he would agree to come back is if he had creative control over the scenes that his characters were in. And so you can tell because they're better written.
Even at the
they're
first,
better written.
Even when he's in Matt's apartment, I was like, man, he kills this character so well.
Every time.
And
that makes me love John Bernthal all that much more because, like, the guy's clearly got some creative ability. He's not just an actor. Like, he can get in there and write lines. And because the one clip of him in the basement with Matt in, like, episode 5 or 6 or whatever it is the best scene in the show. And so,
I don't really get why his character would just walk up in there and just start blowing people away. But beside the point, I thought it was hilarious and so on character that he's calling these guys clowns, because that is such a Marine thing to say.
Yeah,
like you're calling them a bunch of clowns. I was laughing. That was pretty good.
Yeah, but it's also just like the dumbest thing about the ending, other than all the stuff we just mentioned, was the fact that they build it up that Daredevil and Punisher are going to go to this port and like wreak havoc. So Punisher kind of tries to, and he obviously gets overwhelmed, and that's understandable, whatever. But then Daredevil shows up
And then
for
just
this big confrontation, and then he's just like, nah, and
never
leaves.
mind.
And it's like, what are you doing?
Do what?
It's the season finale. Like, people are expecting this big showdown, and you just like, nah, we're good. We'll make you wait till next season. That is the biggest slap in the face to anyone who watches any show, because like any finale, you need a big climax, and it's just like, nope, and then it's over. It's like I was baffled that they thought that was a good idea. I mean, I was thinking he's gonna bust up in there in this port, storm up through there, take people out one by one. He's gonna save Frank. Probably going to have some sort of ending where he doesn't get Fisk. Fisk gets away or something, but it'd be some good, because we don't really get to see Daredevil fight that much in this show.
Nope.
I mean, there are very few scenes, and usually it's him fighting like one person or two people.
One or two, yeah.
Whereas in the other 3 seasons, I mean, there'd be scenes where he's fighting, a bunch of members of the Hand all at once, and all these different goons in the parking garage in season 1, and like all these different, just the guys in the hall, all the hallway fight scenes he does. It's like the prison sequence. I mean, the dude can take down some serious numbers, at one time. So I don't know. It's just like, why do that? Like, why just slam on the brakes and then just like, we need to recruit an army? And I'm like, what is this, the Avengers? Like, what are we doing here? Can we just have Daredevil be Daredevil? I mean, apparently the show's allergic to that, because even when he's back in the suit, they don't ever show him fighting anybody. So yeah, I'm over it at this point. And I guess we can kind of wrap up by giving our overall rating. We'll just say 1 to 10. You can do like half points. So like if you can do 5.5 or 7.5 or whatever. So 1 to 10, and whether you recommend people to watch this or not. So I'll just let whichever of you would like to lead it off. I guess I'll finish this out, but
I'll go ahead. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I mean, if you know me, that's not a good ranking. That's not.
I was going to say 5.5.
Yeah, so I'm saying
and
6.
I almost put it lower.
So,
Okay.
and as far as watching it, it's hard for me to say, don't watch it, because you never know where they could come back to this at some point later down the line and use something from this in a show that could be good.
If you still care at that point.
Well, that's why I think viewers and numbers have been bad. But so it's hard for me to say no. But if you like the original first 3 seasons of Daredevil, you're not going to like this one.
5.5, and I'll watch it. Not because I want to watch it, but I feel like I have to watch it because
this is whether you feel like other people should watch it, though.
Oh, other people should watch it?
Yes.
No, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Just stick to the first 3 seasons and rewatch it over and over again. Don't watch this.
That's where I'm at. Like, I could just go binge those over and over again and be perfectly content in life. And just leave those in my headcanon as the only thing that exists in the Daredevil universe. I would say out of 10, y'all know me, I don't mind being harsh, but I'm trying to come to
You're the harshest out of the 3 of us.
Look, if any of you watching this channel, it's like, people, you got to be disappointed in me if I'm not the harshest on something.
Yeah.
Like, I have that reputation. So, but there are good scenes in this show, but they are so few and just far between that. And I think when it comes down to me, it's always story, characters. Does the plot make sense? Does it flow well together? There's none of that present here because it's clear it's been reshot and all of this other stuff. For that reason, I'm leaning somewhere between like 3 and 4 because and that's a lot of that is because I'm comparing this as a direct sequel to the original 3, and when you stack it up with those, like it's rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's getting bad scores. So I'm saying like 3 or 4 is. I'd say to be nice, I'll give it a 4, not a 3. But
That's real nice.
it is a strong do not recommend. And like Drew said, especially if you liked the original 3, you will be. If you are as hardcore fan as I am of those, you will be angry at this show. So, like I said, I can't understand why it's doing so well critically. I really do not get it. I do think it's a case of, well, at least it's not as bad as She-Hulk kind of thing. Doesn't make it
It'll
good.
always be worse.
But it's, I think that's kind of where it's at. And I could care less about season 2. We may watch it just to review it here. But honestly, I just wish they'd cancel it and not do it, to be honest with you. Like
you say that, and then season 2 or whatever is going to end up being decent, and then we're going to be sitting here being.
Nope.
I don't know. That's the optimist in me hoping
that's the MCU still has a hold of your soul, is what that is.
I hope it. Look, I dream of the day where MCU is back to MCU of 2010 through 2018, where like everything's going great.
Those days are long gone, sir.
I know.
I don't think we're ever going to get that again.
I know.
And a lot of people seem to think that Andor season 2 will be the last good Star Wars thing we get for a long time, and I tend to lean on that side. So
this isn't a Fantastic Four thing, but this makes me scared.
Oh,
of the Fantastic Four movie.
I do. Think, but I think Thunderbolts will be good just because everybody expects it to be bad.
Like we did our hopes and fears, and I think we talked about Daredevil in that, right?
Yes.
And
that was just Delta, I think.
It was, and I don't think Captain America was a good movie. I mean, it was
nope.
All right. It was not like.
Yeah, you can watch our review. We didn't have nice things to say about it.
I don't think that this is a good series.
No.
And so the next thing that's coming up that's Marvel, right, is Fantastic Four. And I said
Thunderbolts.
Is Thunderbolts before Fantastic Four?
Yeah, it's next month.
Well, if that comes out and it bombs, which is what everyone is kind of expecting, right?
Which is why I think it may actually be good.
It may be inoffensive, but I don't think it's going to make a lot of money.
No, I don't think it'll make money.
Like, and when we talked about that, I was like, we said that these things had to be at least somewhat decent for us to feel good going into the Fantastic Four movie. And I think that the Fantastic Four movie is supposed to solely set up the Avengers movie next year, right?
Well,
more or less. I think Thunderbolts is
on that. I've changed my tone on that. I think Thunderbolts is going to have more to do with it than people think. Just because every one of the Thunderbolts cast is already confirmed to be in Doomsday.
Yeah,
every one of them, even Sentry.
I don't know. It makes me nervous. It really does.
Yeah. And, I think I think the only thing that would get me to be excited for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 would be if they fired all the creators and said that Drew Goddard and his team were coming back to do another season. So, and even, I don't know, I don't think they could fix this mess. So,
they've already shot it. Sounds like
they've
already made.
They've started shooting it. I don't know that they're done, but they are in the process.
Well, don't look at the reviews.
Yeah.
Because the reviews will tell you that you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Don't look at the reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still am baffled by the reviews. I can't understand why it's getting such high scores. I mean, I don't know. Maybe y'all can tell us if please if you can comment down below. Let us know how you felt, if you've even watched the show and plan to watch it, and if you have, what you've thought about it so far, and just kind of keep that discussion going. But I think that's all we've got for this one. I think we've beaten this dead horse long enough, so we'll call it a night, and I guess we'll see y'all next time.